It's a controversial move that the voters of Austin, Texas approved to get the homeless encampments off their streets. A total ban on outdoor camping. This law, far more strict than the one just signed by Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, takes the kind of sweeping action that some Angelenos argue is needed to bring our homeless crisis under control. Here's investigative reporter Joel Grover.
Homeless encampments under freeways, in public parks, in every corner of the city. It looks just like Los Angeles, but this is Austin, Texas, whose voters, like LA's, identify mostly as Democrats and progressives.
I grew up poor. I'm a registered Democrat.
Cleo Petricic is a Latina and a lifelong Democrat. She co-founded a group called Save Austin Now 2 years ago when Austin's Democratic mayor and city council stopped enforcing the city's ban on outdoor camping.
And like that, we had tents popping up everywhere.
Petricic's group got enough signatures to put Proposition B on the ballot this past May to ban all outdoor camping in the city of Austin, and it passed by a landslide.
Let's set up safe campgrounds for them where there's security, have access to water and toilets to restore their dignity.
It was a harsh rebuke to Austin's Democratic leadership, including Mayor Steve Adler, who opposed the ban. He sat down with the I-Team over Zoom. Do you understand your voters' frustration over the homelessness issue?
Absolutely. They sent a very clear message that they don't want to have people camping in our city.
The city of Austin is now clearing out encampments, moving people into shelter, including hotels and converted parking lots, to comply with the will of the voters. Austin police can now even arrest those who refuse to move.
Homelessness is an incredibly tough problem. There's so many competing interests.
How do you get homeless people off the streets who refuse services, refuse help, want to stay on the streets?
I don't know the answer to that.
Some of those living on the streets of Austin say it's not fair to criminalize the unhoused.
I want to know the reality of what's going to happen to my brothers and sisters out here on the streets.
Here in Los Angeles in June, City Councilman Joe Buscaino proposed a total ban on outdoor camping, similar to what Austin voters approved.
We need common sense rules on our streets.
But the council instead instituted a partial ban on encampments only in certain areas, such as near parks and schools. And in most cases, council members will have to take a vote each time the ordinance is enforced, raising questions about the law's power to create real change. That's why some people who live near encampments think the voters should weigh in on a total ban on encampments in all public spaces.
Nothing is changing.
Heidi Roberts is an advocate for the unhoused who co-founded the homelessness housing group Haven. Do you want the people of LA to vote on a public camping ban?
Well, I think that is a fabulous idea because I feel like the people want to solve this problem, but the politicians just don't have the will to solve the problem.
They're fed up with what they see as an unresponsive political leadership.
Joel Bellman worked for various LA County supervisors on the homelessness issue for over 20 years.
All we see is the problem getting worse.
Bellman points out that past attempts to compel people off the streets here were either blocked in court or by financial obstacles.
I just don't see how we could ever develop the capacity to house everybody who's on the street now.
But Austin, Texas officials are now being forced by voters to find ways to house everybody. And some voters in LA want to send the same message to elected officials here. Do we have enough money to house all these people on the streets?
Yes, they have spent billions and billions of dollars and nothing has changed. So the voters at this point need to hold their feet to the fire and make them accountable for creating the change that's needed.
For the I-Team, I'm Joel Grover.